show contains adult content. It's not our intent to offend anyone, but we want to inform you that if you are a child under the age of 18 or get offended easily, this next show may not be for you. The content, opinions, and subject matter of these shows are solely the choice of your show hosts and their guests, and not those of the Entertainment Network or any affiliated stations. Any comments or inquiries should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for listening.
On Pipeman on W4CY Radio.
Wake up, America! It's time for the Adventures of Pipeman on W4CY.com, West Palm Beach's #1 internet radio station. Here's your host, the Pipeman.
I made it. Okay, so last time you were hearing from me on Wednesday, on What the Fuck Wednesday, and I was still at Podcast Movement in Chicago, but then the very next day, I was on a jet plane to where I am now, in the greatest adult playground in the world, Viva Las Vegas, for the NAB show. So, where are my pipe nuts?
Hello.
Thought I was in Vegas for a second there, but I guess not.
I'm not allowed back in Vegas, so there's that.
Yeah, well, they
never
try
been.
to keep the pipe man out, but they're not successful. So here's something I'm going to have to look at too. Okay. So Juan, here's the thing. When I was up by myself, it showed a lot more. Okay. Yep. How did it look?
Very busy.
Right? Okay. So was it okay or just too much?
If it was like a long period of time, it would be too much.
Yeah. So what I also thought of, if we're going to put the banner behind me, is that I have to keep that into account because it would fit nicely in this. But now we got to think of the wide. So, we'll have to test stuff out. Maybe put it back further. I don't know. We'll test that out. The road's constantly under construction, as we keep saying, on the Adventures of Pipeman. But, man, I'm here at NAB, and oh, my God. Okay, so, first of all, I'm here in Vegas, which I love Vegas. I probably won't sleep the whole conference because, conferences by day, Vegas by night. And you can't sleep when you're in Vegas. That's just ridiculous. And you know what? I forgot something, Juan. Okay, so the cat's out of the bag. I did have another shirt for pre-recording this episode, and I forgot to put it on. So I'm still a celebrity podcaster from Podcast Movement, but hold on. I'll be right back because I need to change shirts, okay? Because I'm wearing the wrong shirt to the wrong show. So Rebel and Juan,
it happens.
You take over. Maybe you guys can tell us from your point of view what NAB is all about. And I'm very scared to put that in your hands, but I'm going to anyway. And maybe you can mix it in with what day it is or some crap like that. But I got to go change the shirt for the sake of the show. Okay. So the people that tune in after this will never know I was wearing the same shirt.
All right, let's do it. Do you want to jump into the days of what today's are?
All right. No, I want to talk about NAB. It's been a while since I've been to NAB. Last one I went to was in Tennessee, I think. That one was really fun. And it's the National Association of Broadcasters. It's really cool. There is so much to learn going here. It's so fun. You need to get him to invite you to, or just invite yourself to go to one of these things.
Well, the problem with that, the problem with me inviting myself means I have to pay for myself.
Right.
You do have to pay for
him inviting
yourself,
you
even
means the
if
same
I
thing.
invite-
Just saying.
even if I invite you, it means the same thing. Okay, you know, you want to play, you got to pay, and
That's
see,
what she said.
I was ready for it. I was ready for it. I had it sitting there.
Okay, so what is this
now?
shirt?
This is more appropriate because for Podcast Movement, I was wearing my podcast celebrity shirt. For NAB, I'm wearing my broadcaster shirt. Okay, so you got to make sure you're on the right page because NAB is all about broadcasters, podcasters, streamers, and people paying their own way.
So NAB stands for Not Your Average Broadcast.
That would be nice.
No, that's not what that sounds
Okay,
for.
so first of all, it's an organization that we're part of. It's called NAB, the National Association of Broadcasters. This is the NAB show. Okay, there's a difference. One is the actual, entity.
Right.
And one is the event for the entity. Okay. And there are, just like a podcast movement, there are two NABs. This is the main one. And then there's one that's in New York that's in like the winter time. So, yeah, basically, this is the granddaddy of all granddaddies, I can tell you. Even the Pipeman is like, whoa, and whoa, this is big, and whoa, this is a lot of walking. I'm probably going to have to walk 80 miles through this thing, man, because not only that, I got to walk to the hotel and walk back. Like, it's Vegas. It's stupid to have a vehicle. It's stupid to even take Uber. You can get there faster walking, and, you could pass by, anything you want. You're in Las Vegas. It's anything you want. If you want a dispensary, it's on your street. If you want a prostitute, it's on your street. If you want a casino, it's on your street. If you want alcohol, it's on your street. You name it. Even if you want Mickey Mouse the drunk, to beg from you, it's on this street. Have you ever seen that?
Sounds like home.
Well, you know what's interesting about Vegas now, especially this side, the Strip? Like, when I was a kid going to Vegas, it was when the mafia still ran it, and they ran it a lot better than the corporations. I got news for you. As soon as corporations took over for the mafia, things go downhill, okay? The mafia ran this town like a well-oiled machine. You could get a buffet, full breakfast, lunch, dinner for like $2. You got comped to everything because they were smart. They knew if they comped you, you're going to stay and you're going to gamble more and all this. Plus, you could go from one casino to another. Since corporate America took over Vegas, the Strip, first of all, you can't go from one place to another. It's a major pain in the ass. They've built these things where you can't cross the street. You have to actually walk up these stairs, walk across, walk down the stairs. Like, to get across the street, it takes you 52 minutes. Okay? And it's a lot of work. But not only that, but they don't give you crap anymore. That same $2 buffet is now like $54. Like, I'm sorry, I'm gambling thousands on your tables and you want me to spend $54 on a crappy buffet? Are you kidding me? Before, you know what? I would get it for free, getting it comped. But even if you went to Vegas and you didn't gamble, you could eat like a king. Now it's like, yeah, I'll pass on that. I'll go down the street.
I mean, yeah, at least you had a win, right? Like, you could lose all your money, but you were eating good.
Exactly. And you got the room for free. Like, you live in the life. It only costs you thousands of dollars, but, it's still.
Yeah, but you're not spending it in the room or in food. You're spending it on something that you're having fun with.
Have you ever heard the story, or anybody watching, about the Pipeman's first experience in a casino?
No.
That would require a yes or a no. Okay. Not dead air. Dead air is not what we want here. Okay. So no, you haven't. So
No.
here's the story. Okay. So my father comes home one day, living in New Jersey, And he says, meet your new stepmother, and we're going to California in 3 days, and you can never tell a living soul. And then we started to drive cross country 3 days later for real. He wasn't kidding. And we're driving cross country, and it was quite an experience. Okay, one of my brothers came with us, one that I didn't even grow up with. So we had 2 vehicles. We had my dad and my stepmother in my stepmother's car, which was a Pontiac Firebird, which, by the way, when we got to California, I did get a license and I did drive it to the 7-Eleven in our neighborhood. And I did back out of the parking space and slid all the way across the car next to me. And that Firebird was white and the car was blue. And I thought nothing of it. And I just went home and parked it in the driveway, went in the house, and got a knock on the door. Can you guess who was knocking on the door?
The IRS?
Close. It was the owner of that car with the police. Apparently, you're not allowed to just scrape along a car and fuck the car up and just leave. Apparently, I didn't know that. I was only, 16. How am I supposed to know? And
you're supposed to leave a sorry note in a Snickers bar.
Exactly. Nobody told me that, though. Nobody told me that. So, yeah, that wasn't a good day. Okay, but let's back up to a better day. On the way there, okay, well, first we'll back up to just before. When we first entered California, there was a massive explosion, because what I also got to see at 12 years old was in the middle of the night, entering California. This is my first time entering California. The Hells Angels blowing up some shit.
Nice.
Yeah, that was what I saw after leaving Vegas. So here's what happened in Vegas. So I'm a gamer. So, of course, we go to Circus, so my dad could just go and gamble, and he could just hand me money and say, here, go play in the arcade. Well, what he didn't count on is that I also knew how to rig games that I didn't need the money to play. So what I did is I played some pinball, I played some football, I played some Space Invaders, Missile Command, Asteroids, and then I got bored. But I didn't spend any money yet. Yeah, I had plenty of games. I loaded them up with like 99 games on all of them. The football one was, there used to be this game. I used to love it. It was X's and O's, and it was rolling balls, and there were 4 balls, so you could play like 4 people. So your friends you would go crazy. Do you remember this, Rebel, in the arcades? No. Okay. So that requires saying no. Okay. They can't hear your blank face stare on the radio.
I know.
Okay. So basically, and you would do this ball. You'd be like this. And everybody be pumped up. It was like playing the Super Bowl. So I figured out how you could play that game with a penny instead of a quarter. So basically, because they didn't do tokens back then, it's because people like me why they went to tokens.
They don't do tokens anymore either. They have the card now. You have to get like a little card that you recharge.
Yeah, exactly. It's because of people like me, and they did actually change how money went into these arcade games too, because the original ones were just a metal slot, okay, and then they changed it to kind of digital. It was red and black, and it kind of lit up, and it went straight in instead of angled down. But so on the football game, what I would do is I would take a penny, and it would have like this round slot, okay. I can't get it in the screen. Fuck it. And it was like, it was a round slot that was like flat up against the game. So you had to take your quarter and like almost like push it in, and then it came down. So what I would do is I would take a penny, drop it in there, and time it perfectly, and then punch in the middle where it was going down. And so that was the area where it determined whether you try and put slugs in or fake coins or whatever. And it would, so if it was a penny or a slug or a fake coin, it would go down one path. If it was a quarter, it went down the other path. So basically,
you were bumping it into the right path.
Exactly. And then, so there was that. And then there were pinball machines. So pinball machines they were so brilliant when they first made pinball machines, because there was a button underneath the pinball machine that all you had to do is push it and you could play it for free. And unless you knew, you didn't know, you were stuffing cores in there, but I knew, so I'd just push it and play the pinball. And then like the other games, like the Space Invaders, Missile Command, Asteroids and stuff, they had that, and Pac-Man, they had this little angled slot. So you would tape a quarter, like a Scotch tape, to a string, usually dental floss, and drop it down in there. And what happens is when the quarter goes down, it hits a switch. So what you do is you just keep dropping it up and down and keep flipping the switch.
So you give yourself more credits.
Yep, and I would rack it up to like 99 credits, and then I'd play like 4, and there'd be some kid younger than me behind me, and I'm like, hey kid, you want to buy this? I got 95 games here. You can buy it for $5.
So you've been a businessman your whole life.
Oh, totally. Listen, when I was 11 years old and younger, probably 10, I had paper routes, but not just one. I had two major paper routes. And I used to go knock on doors. I started, like, as example, I did the Star Ledger, which is, the most popular paper in Jersey. And the Sunday one was like this thick, And I started, they gave me 12 customers. I ended up knocking on doors and I had 64 customers. So even then, entrepreneur, salesperson, money hungry. What's she showing? I can't see.
25 cents.
It's funny that you mentioned the video games because a fan sent me this.
Wow. Look at that.
You would put the money in the little slot and it was 25 cents once. It just made me remember. I was like, wait a minute, I've seen what he's talking about. I've been to video games and arcades, but I want to thank the fan who sent that. That was pretty cool.
They need to bring back the old school arcades.
Well, yeah. So when I was a kid, my goal in life was to own an arcade once I turned 18. By the time I turned 18, arcades were already out of fashion.
See, I've been to arcades like when I was little and now. The arcades now are mostly just video games that you have to just stand there or sit there and not do anything. Whereas the arcades before, you actually had to move around and do stuff. Like, the Dance Dance Revolution. You literally had to move your entire body, and it was a workout. Just trying to hit that record, that like the highest record, trying to break the record. It was an entire workout.
Do you know that I've had, except for last couple of years, I've had every gaming system ever made, and I played the first video game ever made in history. I remember when the first video game that was similar to today, like with graphics, came out. I was like, oh my God, it was called Dragon's Lair or something like that. And it was like a movie, like you were playing a movie, like games are now, but you didn't have it then. And also games back then, if you were somebody like me that was a techie or a gamer, you could figure it out. Like I beat Super Mario Brothers in one night.
All the cheat codes.
Yeah. Well, no, I never used cheat codes. I didn't want cheat codes. I used to figure out the patterns because they all had very distinct patterns.
Yeah, the programming was very, very
very
low.
Simple.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's why I never wanted cheat codes, and I still don't want cheat codes because I want to figure it out. Because like games like Super Mario Brothers, you could have gotten the cheat codes or you could figure it out. It was a lot more fun to figure out all the secret stuff. Like I used to figure out the secret stuff instead of looking in the magazine for it.
You know what wasn't fun?
What?
If you lost at level 22, you had to start again from level 1.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that I like it how you can save your progress now. But yeah, that's how I beat Super Mario Brothers in one night. I just me and my roommate, me and her just played all night long till I beat it. And beat that Bowser bitch.
But you got your peach.
Yep, there you go. I got my peach. And in more ways than one.
There you
go. And she wasn't a Georgia peach either. But going back to Vegas, so what happened so now I got bored. I played the video games. I still had the money in my pocket. So I decided to walk out into, is somebody coming in the studio?
I have ninjas on top of the roof right now. Like
nice.
They're climbing up. They have like helmets and everything.
Are they taking over? I
think they have should I show this?
I think they're looking for you.
Should I show this? No, they're wearing they're wearing goggles. I think they have a spray can on them, like a spray paint can.
Show the viewers what it looks like from our studio.
I don't know if you can see that.
There we go. Oh, that's just a couple kids getting stoned on the roof. That's what they're doing. I'll bet you that's what they're doing. We have proof. Hey, that could be the next serial killer you just caught on camera there, and you might have to go into court to show this video to make sure that we catch them.
My encounter with the ninjas.
See, now your light's not as good
because in a different spot.
Yeah, he's trying to nudge it over.
Camera's in a whole different spot now.
It's okay, it'll readjust.
Still look good, but no, your camera's
Okay, so where were we?
It is getting better now. Now it's better. It was really distracting me there for a second. I have to be honest. No, seriously though. So I walk out in the casino. I decide to take the money and play the slot machines, and it was all over from there. From there, I've been in casinos ever since. I proposed to Thing One after a casino.
Too bad that machine doesn't work like arcades.
So losing once wasn't enough.
No, that would be interesting if you could put money like that.
Put money in like what?
Could have been. Like in an arcade, like you were talking about how you did in the arcade and you just hit the machine or you had dental floss. Could you imagine going to a casino like that?
Yeah, totally. So you don't, Juan, you don't know the story of why I proposed. Like, okay, so we know that Thing Two, I had sex by mistake, and that's how I ended up married. But Thing One, there's also a story of why I proposed. I didn't plan on proposing when I did. It was therapy, actually. You not know the story, Juan?
No, but I know you needed therapy afterwards.
Okay, so here's the deal. When I first met Thing One, I was in the investment business, in commodities specifically, which is very fast-paced, like being in a casino at the crap table. And I used to gamble with people's money all day long. And then 3 nights a week, I would go out with my dad on the Sea Escape, which was a cruise to nowhere that went out of Fort Lauderdale. And they're like those gambling cruises. They would just go out a mile out and, and there was a reason to hang. And so we would go on 3 times a week. I used to joke around, call it my second job. And I was doing pretty good. I was making money at it. And then the first night, which was 3 weeks after I met Thing One, I decided to bring her on this boat. And within the first half an hour I'm on the ship, I lost $900.
Safely, so that goes to show something.
What? What'd you say? Rebel.
So she made it back safely, so that goes to show something.
Yeah, maybe. So yeah,
she made it back safely.
I got it. I got it
goes
now.
to show
I think
something.
she's delayed because she's always talking after us.
Yeah, she's definitely on a delay.
So, okay. So basically what happened is I lost $900 in like a half an hour, and there were hours to go of the cruise. And it was raining outside. I was wearing an Armani suit. Decided to take her up to the top deck. And I guess I was so depressed from losing $900 that quickly. I needed something to make me feel better. Like, that's what people do. That's like, usually when people make bad decisions, it's because they made other bad decisions and they make another bad decision to make themselves feel better. So I got down on one knee and I proposed. And okay, that was 3 weeks after I met her. Okay. Now, the way it used to be with me and my dad, because if you know gamblers, they don't like to be bothered sometimes when they're gambling. Okay. And so me and my dad would be at separate tables, and we would meet at the end. Like, we would meet in the beginning, we would meet at the end, in the bar after the casino closes and we're coming back into port. So we meet him down there, and I decide payback's a bitch. So I said to my dad, I said, meet your new daughter-in-law. So yeah. So there's that story. And Rebel, you wanted to know about thing 2 and how it happened by mistake. Am I right?
I did.
Why is she
Yes,
shaking her head? We're on radio, man. Come on.
I said yes, very much. Can you not hear me?
We can, but you're shaking your head first.
I'm talking.
And you are on a delay. So there was...
Because I thought it was...
So anyway, what happened is I was like best friends with her for like 18 months. And it was me, her, Chad, and Heather. And we always used to hang out and stuff. And so I was the type, I was divorced already, obviously. The 2 older kids were already out, but the 2 younger girls, they were living with me. And I never brought women around, ever. Okay. And and so the only time I would be with her is like times when my kids were not home or they're sleeping at their friend's house. But even then, I wouldn't let her come over my house, or stay over. And we were like such close friends that when my kids were sleeping over in her friend's house, I would sleep over her apartment. And it'd be one of those scenarios, sleeping in bed, but nothing. You're just friends. You're just sharing the bed, type of thing. And we did that for a long time. Never anything happened. Never, never, never. But I did like her from day one that I met her. And I just never crossed that line because I didn't want to screw things up. So one night, we were at my house hanging out, and then she was leaving to go back to her apartment because sometimes the 4 of us would hang out at my house if my kids were sleeping out, and then she would leave. She wasn't allowed to stay over in case my kids came home in the middle of the night or something. And so she's leaving, and then I get a text message, and it says, want to bone over. Now, this back in the days of like flip phones, not smartphones, okay? So I show it to Heather Burkett, the female. Does this mean what I think it means? And she goes, yeah. And I told her and Chad, I'm like, get the fuck out. And then
there was no way this could have been out of correction, right?
No possible way. Didn't even enter my mind. I swear it didn't even enter my mind. And so then I race over to her apartment, and she was already like half asleep, and I just came in and got into bed, and I went to town like immediately. And she did not resist. And then the next morning she's like, what even came over you last night? And so I told her what happened, and then she hit me in the arm and started laughing and said, "You idiot." That was autocorrect. It was supposed to say, "You want to come over." I told her, I'm like, but I asked Heather Burkett and she said that's what it meant. So I even got confirmation. So anyway, married 3 months later.
Wow. Yeah. It would probably take me 3 months to remember their name.
Well, I did know her for 18 months, so.
It would take me 18 months to even be considered a friend.
So does that mean you've known your current significant other for about 25 years?
No, I've known her a little over, like about 2 years.
Okay. So, and what, did you like her from day one, or is this somebody you just met as a friend?
No, I think I liked her from day one. It was kind of like, because you know when you first meet someone, they're always like on their best behavior and everything. And for me, I've always been the what you see is what you get type of person. Like I never changed, because a lot of people say like, you know, when you start dating, like people start up here and then over time they start lowering until they become like this obnoxious like a-hole. And I'm like, no, for me, it's more like what you see is what you get. I'm not going to show you a better version of myself. I'm not going to show you a worse version of myself. I am who I am. You either accept it or you don't.
And that's the thing. I talk about it all the time, that people, like, they're always on their best behavior in the beginning. I have a different philosophy. Show me your worst. Because if I can live with your worst without even having any feelings yet, then you're golden.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, it's easy if they're at their best, but that's not real either. Like that happened with Thing One. She was on her best behavior, being who she thought I wanted her to be, until 3 years later, she decided, like so many women do, that she lost herself and had to get herself back. The problem is I never met the other person that she was showing me now. And frankly, I didn't like her very much. She did say at the end of our marriage, I told you if you didn't, I told you in the very beginning that you wouldn't like me very much. I didn't listen. She was right. So anyway, we're at NAB in Las Vegas, where what happens in Vegas? What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. No, I didn't take it as a challenge. There's her delay. We're already on another conversation and she's asking her question. Okay.
So
no.
I've always had a problem with that statement, because I feel like if you get an STD in Vegas, it's not going to stay in Vegas. It's going to come home with you.
Well, I don't know. Maybe Vegas has like the day after pill for STDs. Why hasn't somebody invented that? Like, forget the day after for if you're pregnant. Get the day after pill for STDs. If you could invent that, you would be rich beyond all belief. Imagine a world where you never had to worry about STDs.
Just put like a little machine in the bathrooms in the clubs.
Yeah, exactly. Like, there's so many women in my life that I've wanted to have sex with and didn't, because I didn't want to catch an STD. And I am like very careful with that stuff. Like I have turned down more opportunities as a man than I'd care to admit. And I'm just thinking, if somebody would invent that, then I wouldn't have had to turn all these women down.
It's true.
Like, who wants to wake up in the morning and their junk falls off?
I don't think it would fall off. I think it would just look different.
Oh, it could. It could. Okay. It could start like peeling and flaking, and all kinds of things can happen. Ripple's losing it over there. Like, it's almost like she's experienced this before. She's feeling like, man, you're speaking my language now.
It's like she has a very vivid image in her mind.
Can you see that? That's why Jews.
Can you smell the oozing?
Yeah, well, that's why Jews have a bris and get circumcised. Because can you see what comes out of that little hoodie? Gross. she's got terrible internet now.
Yeah.
Now she's the one with terrible internet. I think it's because she moved. You know, or she's doing some other ethnic rigging like she likes to do. Hey, let me ask you a question, Rebel. Have you taken a wire and ran it down the street to the library and hooked it into their headsets there to do the show?
No.
Oh, okay. I was just curious. That looks like a librarian headset. Are you a librarian?
No.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're not that good or bad.
No,
so anyway,
I think she went into an airplane and then stole it from the pilot.
There you go. Have you guys been to Vegas before?
I'm not allowed to talk about that, legally speaking.
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't know how anybody can live their whole life and never have been to Vegas. Like, it is an amazing thing at night, too. I used to drive when I lived in California. I'd drive to Vegas, and it's like a 5-hour drive from L.A., but 3 hours of that drive is through the desert where there's absolutely nothing and it's pitch black. And then all of a sudden over the horizon, the whole horizon lights up like more than the sun. There's more light coming off of Las Vegas than any sun could ever do. And it's just an amazing sight. It's like out of nowhere. It's just like there. And then, of course, you know, if you want to drive out of town, you could go to some of the cool ranches. You wear a cowboy hat, Juan. You would like Vegas because there's ranches there.
Yeah, and seeing how there's a desert there, like I would probably prefer to be out in the middle of the desert by myself with my camera taking pictures of the night sky than in the middle of all the nightlife with all the people.
But wouldn't you want to take pictures at the ranches?
Yeah, just borrow a horse, go out into the middle of nowhere. And
oh, they don't have horses at these ranches.
Really? What kind of ranch doesn't have a horse?
I mean, they might have pigs, but no horses.
I can ride a pig. I'll take the challenge.
The ranches are the legal whorehouses. The brothels.
The brothels, okay.
They're called ranches.
Ah, so that's what they're calling it these days.
No, they've always been calling it. What's it? Hey, Rebel, look it up. The famous one. I'm forgetting the name right now. It's the something ranch. That'll give you a little hint. But it's like the most famous one in Las Vegas or in Nevada. It's not actually in Vegas. You know, you got to go out into the desert to hang out with whores. I mean, there's whores at the casinos too, but they're not at their house. Did you find it yet, Rebel? We have to wait 10 seconds for her to answer.
I know. See, because I'm looking it up here, and it says
Mustang Ranch.
That's it. That's the one. The Mustang
Bunny
Ranch.
Ranch.
So, see, they have Mustangs, not horses.
So I'm looking it up, and it says Sandy Valley Ranch has horseback riding.
Yeah, that's a real ranch, dude.
Yeah, so I would go to one of the real ones, not the brothels.
But the brothels, you know, it's a more challenging ride.
I wouldn't feel comfortable there. Like my OCD would always tell me that it's very dirty in there, and I wouldn't want to even sit down anywhere.
So let me ask you a question now. So horse or whore? Which one do you think is dirtier?
Horse. 100%.
Okay. So then you wouldn't mind being at a brothel then? Whores
are dirtier than horses.
Oh, okay. So yeah, well, so let me ask you a question then. How do you know that some woman you're picking up somewhere is not more infested than the people at the ranch?
How do you mean?
Well, you said you're OCD. You'd be worried about how.
Yeah,
dirty
well,
it is.
I'm thinking about the brothel, and I'm just like, my mind would always be thinking like there's been naked butts touching everything in this brothel, so I wouldn't be able to be touching furniture in that brothel.
Yeah, I mean, I've never been to one of them, but I would tend to think that they clean it more than the girl at the bar who doesn't care.
I mean, I wouldn't pick up someone at the bar anyways.
So I have a question for you that my daughter asked me because she was trying to prove something and it didn't work out for her. And I'm going to ask you, and I'm going to ask Rebel over there. Let's start with Rebel. How often do you change? Do you clean your sheets on your bedding? How often do you clean the bedding and switch out the bedding, Rebel, in Louisiana?
Once a week, unless it's used, and then it gets changed right after.
Unless it's used every night.
Used for sexual activity by adults.
And how often does that happen?
Once a week. Apparently.
Lately.
Exactly. Okay, how about
I don't stay at my house all the time, so.
How about you, Studio Nut?
So I have multiple sets of them, so I change them out like every couple days, but I wash them once a week.
Wow, he is OCD every couple days. So do you know that most men, not you, not me, but most men like never do it?
Well, I feel like after like 2 or 3 days, you're just like all the dirt from your body is going back into your body, like old dirt mixing in with the new dirt. I don't know. The way my mind works is weird.
It's kind of like with food. You know, food always is better with used oil than fresh oil.
I disagree. The flavoring, yes, because it has like I guess it could be, but for me personally, I wouldn't do it.
So my daughter asked me because she was ready for me to say, because like her husband, he admitted like before they were together, like once a year, whether you wanted to or not, you change the sheets, which is typical of a guy. That's how a guy thinks. Once a year, whether you need it or not.
No, I couldn't.
And so she asked me,
especially the pillowcase. No.
And she asked me, I'm like every couple of weeks at the absolute minimum. And she's like, really? Come on. Yeah, really? Have you not met me? Like, first of all, here's the thing. Women are always talking about men, but every woman I know is a much bigger slob than most men I know. So, and I have daughters, and they were all slobs, especially when they're younger, they're even worse. So, I don't know. I'm going to debunk that myth right here and now in Las Vegas at NABShow. Which reminds me, I have to get back to his show because, like, I'm missing great content, a great expo. Like, there's so much to learn here, and there's so much advancement and cool speakers. There's celebrity speakers here. Delilah is getting an award. And you have, like, Google and Microsoft and Apple here, like with these big booths and these great keynote speeches, and an expo hall with every technology you could possibly imagine for broadcasting, radio, TV, streaming, podcasting. And it's all about that. And like there's like the machines that they have for taking video. And I have gotten so many emails. I have so many people to meet here, that they want to demo their product to the Pipeman. Okay. And then who knows? Might be used on this show.
Are these camera equipments that you were talking about, are these being used for the Groupons in the ranches?
Sometimes. Depends on how much they spend on it.
You can shoot it in 10K.
It's kind of like you get a bonus like it when you're at a rub and tug. Especially if your name's Robert Kraft. By the way, I just want to say We're fucking done. Okay. I got to get back to NABShow. The Adventures of Pipeman, W4CY Radio, W4CY.com every day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 1 p.m. Eastern Time live. Plus, we have the interviews. Check out the podcast. Anywhere you listen to podcasts, look for the Adventures of Pipeman podcast, Pipeman in the Pit podcast, and Positively Pipeman. And meanwhile, we're going to get out of here because I got to go. And hopefully I make it to my next session because it's very hard walking through a casino to the next session and not stopping at the crap or the blackjack table. Just saying. It takes everything in my power to say, Pipeman, keep walking. You have a session to go to. Keep walking. Don't look.
But the question is, do you crap out at the crap table?
No, I don't. No,
do you crap at the crap table?
I crap on the crap table if I lose.
There you go.
There it is.
Oh, God, help us.
God help
Stays
us
in Vegas,
all.
it says.
Everyone. I'm staying in Vegas. You guys can all choke dirt. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Tune in tomorrow and every other time. Roll it one.
Thank you for listening to the Adventures of Pipeman on W4CY Radio.